Hey everyone, this is Dact. Just recording some quick commentary to hopefully give you some insight into the 100 egg run for SGDQ submission. So let's get this started. So this is Spyro Year of the Dragon, released in the year 2000 for the PlayStation. The main goal of this game, I suppose, is to collect dragon eggs. There are 150 of them total. We need to collect 100 in order to open the final boss door and beat the game. It is possible to skip this requirement, but that run was shown off last year, and the 100 egg run shows off a bunch more of the game's content. You get eggs, some of them are just laid on the ground, like this first one here. You get others for beating levels, and then there are others for completing mini games and side challenges and stuff. So you see a bunch of the content with this run. It's about twice as long as any percent. So in this first level here, we will see our first instance of a dead body proxy. It's a trick. I'll let the run do it, and then I'll explain what happened. Alright. So what happened there was, I flamed the enemy, and then used his corpse. There's a mechanic where Spyro is allowed to exist inside certain objects, but only if he's charging. If he's not charging, those objects are solid. And so you flame the enemy's corpse, you charge into it, so you're inside the corpse, and then you tap X with the right timing. And Spyro stops charging for a brief moment, a couple of frames. There's another one right there to skip a cutscene. The game tries to eject you out of the corpse because you're not allowed to be in there when you're not charging, and then we use the momentum from that ejection, carry it into a charge, and get a lot of height, which allowed us to get to an egg early at the start of the level and then to skip a cutscene at the end of the level. So that level gets sped up a lot by these proxies. You also get multiple attempts at them, which is nice, so even if you fail on the first time, you don't lose too much time. So in Cloud Spires here, we're going to get all 6 eggs in this level. Right at the start here, we're going to do a skip to get into a side area early. We flop up onto this ledge, and then glide around here, and touch a loading zone from through the wall. The loading zones for these side areas are much bigger than they look. They extend quite far out behind where the actual portal is. And in the case of that one, it stretches all the way through the wall, and so if you get to it from the back, you can just get in here early. And then these sub-levels usually just have a challenge, like a mini-game or something in them, from which you get 1 or more eggs. So yeah, this is Sun Seeds. It's pretty straightforward. It's just about optimizing movement, escorting the Sun Seeds, flaming them at the checkpoints. And then when you get all 3 of them, you get given an egg. And then we grab the end of level egg. There's one of these in every level. You need to collect them all in the first 3 home worlds in order to progress to the next world. And so that kind of informs the level routes a little bit, although I think all the end level eggs would be worth getting even if we didn't have to. They're all pretty fast. This is Bell Tower Spirits. Mostly, again, just movement optimization with the Superfly to get all these quickly. But there is a little bit of manipulation we do at the end by charging off to the side here. It puts this blue thief in the right spot to just snipe him straight after we get this egg. So you just run off and flame him, and he's right there. Otherwise you have to chase him around this whole area. Little trick here where we jump before pausing. It kind of conserves the momentum from the jump through the loading the main level back. And so it causes us to kind of float in the air for a second, and then we can glide out of it to get onto a high ledge that we're not supposed to get to yet. Get an egg a bit early. something that's not really obvious when you watch it, but it's a cool little skip. This next little homeworld segment is going to be pretty full on. First, we wait for Hunter to give us an egg. He normally teaches you how to jump and glide here, but if we just get here and then wait for him, he gives us the egg. And then afterwards here, we're going to get a swim in air by abusing the Superfly power-up right here. Do some pretty specific movement to get back out of the cave with the Superfly, land on the wall, and then get swim in air off that little river. Water in this game is not real, it's just like planes. Like you have a plane of water, and if you touch that plane while charging or head bashing, you enter the swimming state. And so if you can do that from out of bounds, you can swim in air. Pretty simple. We entered this level in an unintended way, you may have noticed. You're supposed to pay a bunch of gems to get into these side character areas, but if you haven't paid for them yet, the portals are just stored out of bounds right underneath where the actual physical structure of the portal is. And so if you get swim in air, or if you can kind of glide out of bounds, you can touch the portals where they're stored and just get into the levels early. This is Sheila. Her movement's pretty straightforward. We just need to kill enemies. We actually do this level a bit out of order, and we get the first egg, but then we skip the second egg. That's a funny little thing there, where these mushroom houses can sometimes not break. Yeah, we skip the second egg and go straight to this area. It just ends up being faster, because you have to wait for one of the NPCs if you do the level in order. So we break all the mushroom houses, kill all the Rhinox, and grab this. This is the end of level egg. And then we'll backtrack for egg number 2. Saves a second, 2 seconds, I think. So the route for the next level that we're going to go into is a little bit interesting. There is a proxy right at the start of it, off of a boar. It's not like the dead body proxy we did on the enemies in the first level. Instead, we're going to proxy off its animation. The boar kind of puffs itself up as you get close to it, and if you can get pushed by that animation and then charge at just the right time, you can get a pretty big proxy off of it. If I remember right, I failed this the first time. Yeah, so I failed it the first time, but that's actually not a problem at all, because there is a really nice backup strat where we collect this egg and Death Abuse at the same time. Normally collecting an egg gives you a checkpoint, but if you Death Abuse like that, you don't get the checkpoint, and you respawn back at the start of the level. And you can attempt the proxy again, and that actually loses no time. Getting the proxy on the first attempt or the second attempt, it's the same. In fact, I think getting it on the second attempt optimally is a tiny bit faster, but it's really nice to get 2 attempts like that. And so with that proxy, we skipped into this thieves area. The normal way to get in here is to pay Moneybags 300 gems, and so in an older version of this run, in the old route, you would collect 300 gems in the first few levels. But because of that boar proxy, because of how consistent it is, and the fact that you get 2 attempts at it before you even lose time, people don't collect gems anymore. You just go all out with the boar proxy. It's safe for marathons. People who are practiced enough get that like 80 or 90% of the time. We skipped into this area, again abusing the large hitboxes on the sub-level portals. We didn't do the mini-game in there. There's a challenge with some tiki heads. We just grabbed the egg hidden in the wall. It's a very fast one. And then get the end of level egg and head straight out. This is the last homeworld egg for this world, and then heading into Seashell Shore. This is, I think, the longest level in the run, if I remember correctly. We get all of the eggs in here, but there's a couple of pretty long ones. The obligatory water level. It's only half underwater though. Swimming mechanics are pretty straightforward in this game. You charge to go fast. So we grab this egg in the pool, and unfortunately we have to backtrack to get back out of this pool. You can't get out without going backwards. Avoid these enemies, and then there's a little damage boost you can do here to get up to a high ledge. I fail it in this run, but the backup strat is pretty fast as well. You just spin jump up here like this. A spin jump is a little mechanic. Spyro's hitbox is a little bit weirdly shaped. If you can kind of jump up with his tail facing the ledge, you can, and then turn in midair, you can kind of push the rest of his body up. You can make some unintended jumps. Neat little camera trick with Sheila here to optimize this egg collection. And then make use of this cannon to jump over the scenery here. A little bit of a flop. It skips talking to some NPCs. And then this is Sandcastles. If you've watched streams of this game, you may know that this sub-level has a tendency to crash sometimes. But a little while ago we kind of worked out what causes the crash, and it's possible to avoid it basically 100% of the time just by collecting the gems that are scattered around, that pop out of the cannons. It loses a little bit of time to do this, and so in attempts we usually try and just go as fast as possible. But for a marathon run you can avoid the crash essentially every time just by collecting some gems, which is nice. And then heading to Bluto. This is a little mini boss fight on a boat. There's a few different ways of doing this fight. The strat that I use is to get an early hit here, which I think, yeah, I actually missed, but that's not a big deal. And then you just grab some ammo and then just sit right on top of where the ammo spawn is and just spam him with bullets. See the ammo box kind of spawns underneath you and you can just finish him off. This puts us on no health though. There's a normal little dragonfly following Spyro. It's just a general Spyro mechanic. He picks up gems for us, and he's also our health. We don't need gems in this category, so it's not a big deal to be at no health. It's just obviously the risk of dying in one hit from here. This water tunnel gave a lot of people a lot of trouble as playing this as a kid. The controls in here are not fun. With practice you can make it consistent, but yeah, it's definitely takes some getting used to. And then that's all the eggs from the side areas, and we can just grab the end level egg by killing the octopus in here. I guess just a little thing to point out before we go to the first boss coming up. This run that you're watching was played on fast disk speed on a PlayStation 2, and that's what most people use for attempts. It's either that or PSTV that has slightly faster loads than PS2. But in a marathon setting, in a race, we would probably play this on standard disk speed, just because FDS has some crashing issues on certain cutscenes. It's fixable, but it's not nice if one racer is just losing 15-20 seconds to random crashes. So you would add on somewhere around a minute 20 to any FDS run to get the time on standard disk speed. Alright, so this is Buzz. This is the first boss. we completely manipulate this boss. By standing at the edge here, we can make him stop before he hits us, and then by looking away from him, it prevents him from doing any of his attacks. And so it's just, yeah, it's essentially the same every time. You can manipulate, you can optimize these hits a little bit by standing right up close to him. But because I'm at no health, and always will be at no health with the blue toe strat I use, I played a little bit safe on that boss fight. Little swag there, getting hit by the lava at the end. And yeah, that's World 1. It's the first of 4 homeworlds. We have 29 eggs, I think, out of 100. Alright, so heading into World 2, there's actually a few different routes for this homeworld, like homeworld routes, level routes. The route I'll be doing in the PB, in my PB video, does Icy Peak first. This is definitely the safer of the 2 main routes, but it does lose about 5 seconds to the another route which does Sergeant Bird's base first. If we did this as a race in a marathon, I think it would probably be best to have one of us do each route. I think Wed would do Icy Peak first, and then I'd probably do the other route that does Sergeant Bird's base first, but we shall see. So this is Icy Peak. This level's hard. There's a skip right at the start here. This jump is maybe harder than it looks, although I guess it's kind of obvious that you only just make that. It's definitely a big run killer, especially for new runners. And then this side area gets broken by killing the second thief first. It breaks the first thief's AI, and so by just kind of getting over to him and then adjusting our camera, he just respawns right next to us. And so you flame, touch the camera button, and he just respawns on top of your flame and dies instantly. It's pretty cool. So that's the end level egg, and then we're going to go off and get a couple of eggs that are just set on some ledges. Little wall glide here to skip a hover, and then some tricky jumps coming up. This one's tricky, getting up on this ledge. There is an easier way of doing that, but it's slightly slower. And then this little wall glide flop, I failed this once. But essentially you glide against a sloped surface and then turn inwards towards it, and you flop up onto the ledge. It's quite tricky because the slope is very short, so you need to aim at it just right. But it's not too bad. And then once you're up there, you spin jump on some icicles to get over to the island with the other egg. Alright, so coming out of here, we head over to Spooky Swamp. This is another level with a proxy at the start of it, although this one doesn't save that much time. If you get the proxy, you go straight to the end of the level and then grab the 2 eggs afterwards. But if I remember right, I don't get it. Yeah, okay, so I get a really small one, so I just skip a ladder. It still saves time over not going for it, but we're just going to grab one of the eggs over here, and then head to end level, and then grab the egg on the tree. It's not a big time loss at all. Funny little camera glitch here with this egg. If you look away from the NPC when you talk to him, this happens. No idea why, it's just funny. Although it does put your camera in a good position to go in this direction, so it's actually worth doing in this route. Alright. So a little bit of stair climbing and then into Bamboo Terrace. This level has another proxy at the start of it, and it's another new type of proxy. This one's a scenery proxy. There's a thing at the start of this level where some NPCs move a boulder for you, and if you wedge yourself in between the boulder and the wall in just the right way, which you'll see shortly, just like this, you get ejected upwards, and if you can get past that roof, you can get up on this ledge and skip straight into this room with an egg. Saves doing a long stair climb, and saves about 10 seconds if I remember right. And you just grab this one. You can skip a bridge here by diving into the water and then jumping back out like this. Sometimes you can avoid getting damaged by him, but it's pretty finicky. And then this is another swim inner. This one is very simple. You just swim to the edge of that water and hit square, and you swim over the ledge and get swim inner. It's very easy. And then, probably looks quite weird getting an egg under that bridge, but there is an egg thief that is supposed to spawn after you get the end level egg here. So it would spawn now, and then you'd have to chase it around. But before the egg thief spawns, the egg gets stored underneath that bridge right there. And if you get swim inner, you can just collect it before the thief even spawns. Which is nice, because that thief is really annoying to chase around. And then another swim inner in the homeworld. This is a head bash swim. We get under a plane of water and just head bash underneath it with the right height, and you can get swim inner. We use the super flame power up to break some pots. Gives us an egg. And we also opened the portal to Enchanted Towers, which is the last level we're going to do in this homeworld. You just have to hit the target at some point. We're not going to go into Enchanted Towers yet. We have another level to do first, but instead we are going to go into Sergeant Bird's base. So that's the same concept as getting into Sheila's level in the first homeworld. You're supposed to pay gems, but this portal is just stored out of bounds, so you can just get in there with swim inner. And Sergeant Bird's movement is kind of fun. By holding both strafe buttons, it locks his direction and also makes him fly faster. So it the movement with this kind of strafe locking mechanic is very different to normal movement. I find a lot smoother because he keeps his direction locked. So the point of this level is just to escort this hummingbird through, kill certain specific enemies to get her to progress. And then you have to be a bit careful in this room to not go too fast, or she can get stuck. She just won't follow you. Obviously that didn't happen here, so I'll get the end level egg and head straight out. We only get 2 eggs in this level. There's one more, but it's very slow. You have to free a bunch of hummingbirds in cages. And then another quick thief. We just kill him on the way out. Just run towards the tree and flame charge, and he just runs right into you. Nice and easy. And then head into the last level in this homeworld, Enchanted Towers. Enchanted Towers is a big level with a bunch of side quests and a Sergeant Bird. It has a cool mechanic where you can play as Sergeant Bird in the main level as well as Spyro, but all of those eggs are slow, so we're not going to get them. We're just going to make a beeline to the end of level. We're going to grab this egg on the way because it's just sat there. But yeah, unfortunately, there's some cool minigames in this level, but they're all very, very slow. Bit of a sound warning here, I guess, like a volume warning. These rockets are very loud. And by standing right in front of the NPC, he actually talks to us faster after the warp. It's an odd thing that was discovered recently. It saves like half a second by standing there. And then that is World 2 done. We just need to fight the boss. Spike is probably the most fun boss in this game. Buzz is pretty straightforward, like he's the same every time. And then the other two bosses later in the game are very luck based. But this fight is really fun. It's a little bit of luck in like rock spawns and stuff, but you can pretty much work with whatever you get. Now I delay a bit here to see where the fourth rock is going to spawn, like to give it a chance to spawn. If it spawns right near you, you can get 4 rocks, 4 rock hits rather, and that saves some time, but it's kind of a luck-based thing to go for. You need to get a good spawn. It's not a big deal to get hit here. Obviously you can't move while you're in the damage animation, so that's a problem. But there's plenty of chance to regain health in the next level. And so yeah, that's Spike. We are out of World 2. And this is where the run starts getting quite a bit harder. The first 2 worlds for experienced runners are relatively consistent, as the icy peak skips can give you issues, a couple of things here and there, but overall we tend to get out of the first 2 worlds with pretty consistent times. But World 3 is where things start getting much harder. Notably this level, Fireworks Factory, is very difficult. There's a proxy I'll go for right at the start of this level. I don't get it very often. Most people don't get it very often. It's very hard. It saves some time if you get it, but you know, I get a tiny proxy there, but nothing I can do anything with. So we just go the normal route. Grab noodles right here, and then just head the intended way through the level. All the rest of the eggs are right at the end, so. Have to watch this cutscene, and then we use the cannon to get across the gap. So far everything's been pretty easy, other than missing the proxy. But this little area, this is Ninja HQ skip. Do a little setup here to clear Handle's text box and then get the enemies in the right spot. Get them to throw a bomb just the right way. Damage boost and land just up on the ledge. You get just enough knockback if you get the bomb in the right spot to get up on that ledge. It's tricky. If you fail, I mean, you get a couple of attempts because you only take 1 damage every time you miss it. But if you fail it, you have to go all the way around, and that takes like 25 seconds. And then this is Agent 9. We skipped into this just using the big hitboxes again. But this level, this sub-level is really cool. This is zigzagging. By holding one of the strafe buttons and mashing the other one, we can build up a whole bunch of speed with Agent 9. Sorry about that. Alright, so yeah, we build up a whole bunch of speed with Agent 9 to let us get through this area much more quickly than intended. This is actually really hard to do well. I get a pretty good return trip in this run, but my first pass wasn't so good. Yeah, that's pretty impressive for anyone who's familiar with the game, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of time to be saved and lost in Fireworks Factory from Firefly Proxy, Ninja HQ Skip, different zigzagging in Agent 9, so it's an interesting spot for a race. Lost Fleet is fairly straightforward. This guy moves pretty slowly, and you have to escort him through the level, so you're not. You can lose some time in movement and not actually lose time because you end up having to wait for him anyway. Notably, I want to be on no health at the end of this level, and so I take some intentional damage there to put me on no sparks. So yeah, we end up just having to wait in this room for a bit, just for the NPC, for Crazy Ed. And then after getting the end level egg, we head through the acid river. You get an invincibility power up to let you swim in the acid, swim through to another egg, and then do a little trick called zombie. Alright, so I got it really well there. That was a really good zombie. So essentially what you do is you charge into the lava. Like, you lose your invincibility power up when you get the egg, and so you can charge into the lava. You pause on the same frame as you touch the lava, and the game, you die because you touch the lava, but you also leave the level on the same frame, and so you end up getting put in this weird state that we call zombie when you leave the level. And the important thing, the thing that is relevant for the run, is that it locks your swim state. If you're not swimming when you have zombie, then you can't swim, you'll just fall through water. But if you are swimming, as we are when we spawn in Evening Lake, you can't stop swimming. You're stuck in the swim state. And so we were just able to swim out of the top of the water and grab a couple of eggs. We death abuse to clear zombie because it has some other negative effects that we don't want to keep. Grabbed some more eggs while swimming in air, and then grabbed another egg through the floor just there. Notably, we had to watch that egg's cutscene. If you don't know the game, you might not be aware, but each time you get an egg, it plays a little cutscene. Normally we just skip those immediately, would start, but for that one we have to watch through the whole thing, because if you skip that cutscene, you get pushed in bounds, for some reason. But by watching the cutscene, we can stay out of bounds and skip straight into Bentley's Outpost. This is another side character area. We get in without having to pay moneybags. Bentley is pretty slow pretty slow at movement. It just kind of walks. There's a little bit of camera manipulation here to affect these seal cycles. I get really good ones here. I don't have to wait on them at all. But if you mess that up, you end up having to wait for the seals for a bit. Little skip here to avoid having to wait for the snowball, and then just continue through. Bentley really just comes down to optimizing your walking. There's not too much time to be lost here. Just save frames by not messing up your movement at all.
Thanks, bro.
Alright, so next level is Frozen Altars. This is another level that has a proxy at the start of it. And it also has an interesting mechanic where you get given ice breath by a fairy. whenever you're in this level, your fire breath is replaced by ice breath, and it freezes things. Yeah, so I'll go for a proxy off a mammoth at the start here. Let's just skip a bunch of stuff. This is actually a really important proxy to get. Get up onto the roof. Little bonk there, but not a big deal. And then just go over to this egg. Normally you'd have to use a lighthouse to melt an ice wall to get through there and run all the way around, but that proxy saves a bunch of time. And that was a use of the ice breath. You can freeze the NPCs to act as platforms. And then that is a skip. There are some surfaces in this game that you can't walk on, but you can kind of charge jump off. If you just continue charge jumping, you'll just hop along them. And that was one of those bits of scenery. And now this is boxing. Boxing is kind of infamous among Spyro 3 runners. Some people struggle with it a lot. It has some element of luck in the enemy's behavior, but the strat essentially comes down to rhythmically jabbing. If you get him stuck in the corner like this, your jabs do extra damage, and they also break his guard. So, well, I mean, they do extra damage because they break his guard. But yeah, if you keep the rhythm, you can usually keep him stun locked, but sometimes he'll just break out seemingly randomly, and so the time there is not always under your control. I got a 38 there, which is definitely decent. I think the best anyone's ever gotten is a 44, and then a bad boxing is like a low 30s, even 20s. And then yeah, just grab the end of level egg and head out. So coming out of Frozen Altars, we get this whale egg now because he's on a nice cycle. The whale kind of swims around in a big circle, and he ends up in a good spot coming out of Frozen Altars. And then head straight up into Charmed Ridge. This is another tricky level. It has a pretty hard mini game and a couple of proxies in it. So go for a proxy off this enemy here. I don't get it, which is fine. It saves like 3 seconds, I think. Instead, we can just jump through some non-solid wall right there and skip up that way. It's kind of a theme in this game and in Spyro 2 where if you're not supposed to get to a bit of scenery, then it's just not solid, and so you end up being able to get out of bounds through a bunch of walls. That one's a bit of a weird one because it's really, really easy to get to, so it's odd that it's not solid, but it's nice. And then this proxy I do get. Skip up to the Beanstalk minigame. Jack and the Beanstalk, I should say. So this is a minigame that we can sequence break quite a lot. You're supposed to plant seeds of different kinds. There's like flowers and mushrooms. We can actually skip the flowers entirely and just use some kind of broken mechanics to just use the mushrooms. So spin jump up onto the mushroom and then do a little boosted jump off it to get extra height. I just skipped the entire first half of this challenge. The spin jumps up onto the mushrooms are quite tricky. They have weird hitboxes, and it's only just possible to get up onto them. But I think I do it pretty well in this run. Yeah, that was first try, that was really nice. And then boosted jump again. So that was actually a really good mushrooms. It's very easy to lose a lot of time there to just failing spin jumps. Then we head out. There is another proxy you can do to get into this castle without watching this cutscene, but it's very risky to go for. I wasn't very well practiced at it when I got this run, so... And then yeah, another cutscene, get the end of level egg, and head out. Pretty straightforward ending to the level. It's mostly the proxies and mushrooms where you're going to lose time here. And then that is all the levels in World 3. So we can head to the boss. This boss, Scorch, is a pain. He's completely random. So there's two different RNG factors in this fight that kind of interact with each other. There's the ammo that Bentley gives you, and then there's the attacks that Scorch does. So you hit Scorch with rockets, and Bentley gives you the rockets. There are green rockets and there are red rockets. The green rockets are homing, but only have one. They only give you one hit. The red rockets are not homing, but they give you 50 hits. Each red rocket does the same damage as one green rocket, and so as long as you can aim, the red rockets give you a lot more hits than the green rockets do. So I got first try reds there. That's obviously what you want. Each green rocket you get loses you some time. They're apparently 50-50, although sometimes it doesn't feel like it. And then the attacks that Scorch does are also random. He takes a different amount of time to become vulnerable again after each of his attacks. After each different attack, it's a different amount of time. And so, yeah, it's just more luck-based stuff. So this is somewhere that people can very easily catch up in a race. If one runner is a bit ahead and they get bad scorched luck, then yeah, there's going to be potential for lead changes. I got a really good one in this run, by the way. First try reds and then like one slow attack, but everything else was good. So yeah, World 4 is pretty hard. It's pretty common to choke runs right at the end here. Not necessarily in this level, but in the other levels in this world. So the goal here is to get swim in air as quickly as possible. There is a swim in air, a very easy one, a bit later in the level, but I'm going to go for the slightly trickier one at the start here. So we get this guy to spawn some big crystals, wedge ourselves in between the crystal and this wall, and swim and get pushed out of the water as we activate swim and swim in air. I say it's tricky. Once you know how to do it, it's pretty consistent. I mean, it is consistent. It's the same every time, but it's one of those things that you can easily choke. And then that plane is an absolute pain to chase around if you don't get him like that. So it's really important to have swim in air to just be able to catch him from the beginning like that.
Here, you can.
And then this is pretty cool. You wedge yourself in this little behind this wall. That end level egg has a huge talk box. It's that entire like area. You end up talking to the guy who gives you the end level egg. So kind of little optimization there. And then we skipped half the slide right there. I kind of missed talking about that before I did it, but you press up against the railing and just kind of fall down onto a lower part of the slide. Shoutouts to Mario 64, I guess. And then that's it for Crystal Islands. So this next segment, I think, was my worst one in this run you're watching. I start off by missing this Quick Thief, Death of Use, so I can try it again because he's really annoying to chase around. But the idea is you jump off the side of this bridge, manipulate him to turn around, and then glide back in and flame him. So I got a second try, which is nice. And then the big tech in Desert Ruins is scorpion proxies. The little scorpion enemies, they try to hit you with their tail. If you walk around them like this, you can squish yourself underneath the tail as it comes down, and it propels you upwards. It's a proxy. It's like any other proxy.
Well, well.
So we do one there. We skip. This is the end of level egg here. We just skipped the entire level. And then we use another one to get up on some scenery here. I make a little mistake here. I rub up against this wall and get flopped. Normally you're supposed to keep gliding out of bounds straight to another egg, but I have to do a little bit of a backup route. It's not a huge time loss, but it definitely is a time loss to do this. So you have this little 2D section with Sheila. It's just like a side scroller. You want to minimize your time jumping. Sheila's walking is a lot faster horizontally than her jumping is. So you want to do short jumps. That guy's on a really nice cycle. You can just walk and he won't hit you. Not too much to say about this section other than minimize your jumping. And then I'll grab the egg that I was supposed to get from gliding out of bounds. So I would normally have got this egg already, but I had to get it now as a backup. And then head into this cave and grab the last egg. Alright, so I'm going to grab 2 eggs in the homeworld. There's one hidden behind a wall here. And then there's another one up some steps near the final boss door. This egg you can actually get at one of 2 different times. You can get it now, or you can get it as the very last egg you get immediately before doing the final boss. As far as I know, there's no difference in time between them, as long as you can do the stairs properly. And I think Wed and I do different routes here, so there'll be a little bit of a difference in the homeworld. Alright, so I attempt a door skip here, the fast door. I fail it, but you can kind of see what I was going for. You flop up onto that door and just glide up here straight away. It's not 100% consistent, like it's pretty tricky, but if you don't get it, you can just wait for the door to come back up and do it like that. And then another slide skip, but this time we skip the entire slide. And then because we didn't touch the slide at all from the top, the slide physics don't actually apply, and so we can just run back up it. You can get a proxy off that mummy. I missed it there, but you can just proxy up to this egg straight away. Very small time save. And then I want to make sure I'm on full health for this challenge. This is tanks. This is the bane of new runners to this category, and of a lot of experienced runners as well. I'm not the best at this compared to some of the other runners of this game. And this is a bad tanks by my standards, so... I mean, Tanks 1 went fine, like that was perfectly acceptable. But the second Tanks challenge is a lot more difficult, and a lot longer. A lot more room for things to go wrong.
You may now. My. Such a brave
So the idea is just to kill the 10 enemies. You have 2 types of shots. You have a straight shot like that, and you have a lob shot like this. You can kill some enemies from long range like that. So this is all going perfectly fine so far. It's just this section here that it's very easy to just miss them. Yeah, I just missed that guy 3 times and ended up getting hit a couple times as well. Yeah, this is painful to watch. Probably the biggest single time loss in my PB. Avoided death by a few millimeters there. Alright, it's over. So yeah, that normally goes a lot smoother. That was not a good tanks, but what can you do? So yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end here. There's one more actual level and then the final boss fight. So grab one more egg in the home world here. It's hidden underneath this little breakable floor. And then into Dino Mines. Dino Mines is a level that used to be really straightforward. When this category was run at SGDQ 2014, it would have been a very easy level, but new strats means, well, not new anymore, but newer strats means lots of skips. So we get this egg first, and then we do a window jump to, I think it's like second try, I think. Yeah, a window jump to get on this barrel, jump across some roofs onto this little wagon, squeeze ourselves in the wheel, proxy out onto a roof, flop over this wall, and then break this wall to get the end of level egg. That skips the entire level. Obviously, actually doing that stuff takes a little while, but going through the main bulk of the level takes much longer. We have to break that wall from the front. You can skip into that room without going around and breaking that wall, but the NPC won't give us the end of level egg unless the wall's broken. This is second water tunnel. This one, it's in 3 dimensions this time. The water tunnel in Seashell Shore was just left and right, but you can swim up and down here as well. It's probably easier than the one in Seashell though. The controls are a bit less finicky and you have more room to move around. You don't actually have to hit enemies in there, you just have to avoid everything. So we come out and we just have to grab one egg that's in this water pool here. If we'd gone, we're essentially going backwards through the level here. We grab this, and then now we can leave and just skip the whole first section of the level. And that is 100 eggs. So all we need to do now is fight the final boss. Grab some health here. I actually get lucky there and get a life butterfly. Every 10 fodder you kill gives you an extra life, and those extra lives put you straight to full health, so you could call that a fodder route, but it really was just luck. I didn't do that intentionally. And then this fight is a pain. It takes a lot of practice to get good at this fight. Something to note, the music in this fight is actually wrong on the 1.0 version of the game, which is what I'm playing. 1.0 saves a little bit of time in a few places. I didn't really mention it in the run, but it has the wrong music in this fight. It sounds out of place. But yeah, we use the cannons in the first phase. We want to try and... She moves fairly predictably in the first phase. And so we just try and drop cannons where we think she's going to... Cannon shots where we think she's going to be. I got 3 with the first cannon, which is very good. And then got another cannon drop. And so as long as I can get a couple more with this one, I'm in good stead. Yeah, and so now I get a tank. I just need to get 1 extra hit with this. And normally, you would have to wait a bit and get a UFO and chase her around with the UFO for the last hits. But I get something very, very fortunate here, which is UFO skip. I get an extra tank drop The tank is much faster than the UFO, and so this is painful to watch as well. I miss one hit. But yeah, you can just spam hits into it with the tank and do the last phase much faster than intended. I ran out of ammo in the tank with one shot to go, and so I had to do the last one with the UFO, but that was still way faster than a normal fight. So yeah, that was a really good Sorceress fight overall to finish off the run, giving us a time of 54 minutes 20 seconds. That's third place on the leaderboards at the time of recording. The record is a 53, like a low 53. I don't remember the seconds. So yeah, hopefully that gave you a bit of an insight into the 100 egg run. I think it would be a really good fit for SGDQ. They did any percent last year, and this is the kind of natural extension of that for a race with Word, hopefully. So I'll just let this cutscene finish off. Thanks for watching, everyone.
You know, I still have to find the rest of the dragon eggs. Plus, Hunter seems to have disappeared again, so I should go make sure he's not in more trouble. You haven't seen him, have you?
Huh? Me? Oh, no, no. If I do happen